to welcome everybody to this special occasion, the 33rd Annual General Meeting of Nigerian Conservation Foundation. We have the President of the Board of Trustees in the house. We have the Chairman of the National Executive Council in the house. We have the council members in the house. We have the Director General of the Foundation in the house, and some other people who are joining. We also have students from Watercrest Satellite Town that have also joined. We want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. I will ask the school to start off with the national anthem, and thereby the chairman of the occasion, the president of the board of trustees, will take over from there. Thank you. Can we have Watercrest?
When I got IBM 3 tons BG, first the
So thank you, Watercrest, for that rendition. So I will hand over to the chairman of the occasion, the president of the board of trustees, Chief Philip Asiodi.
well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're a bit late, but we continue. I've been informed that the quorum has been formed. I have therefore great pleasure in declaring the 33rd AGM of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation open. Before I call upon the secretary to read out the notice convening this meeting, I would like to request that all members should kindly raise their hands by clicking on the icon at the bottom right side of their screen whenever they wish to speak. Whenever they wish to second a motion or make an intervention. I now call upon the secretary to read the notice convening this meeting. Secretary?
Notice of the 33rd Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 33rd Annual Meeting, AGM, of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation will hold virtually on Wednesday, 30th November 2022 at 12 noon on the following basis. 1. To receive and consider the report of the National Executive Council, financial statements, and the auditor's report for the year ended 31st December 2021. 2. To reappoint. 3. To conduct any other business that may be properly transacted at an AGM dated this Monday, 7th November 2022. Signed on behalf of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Joseph Onoja, Director General. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the National Executive Council, and members of the Nigerian Conservation It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 33rd Annual General Meeting of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. Our main business here today is to review the reports of the activities of the Foundation and to receive and approve the audited financial statements for the year in 2021 as part of the efforts of consolidating NCF as the leading nature conservation organization in Nigeria. The NCF is called the premier conservation organization in Nigeria because before it, there was no existing organization dedicated to wildlife, nature conservation, and environmental management in the country. As a foundation, we are abreast of the current happenings in the environment sector in our dear country, and our commitment to a Nigeria where people prosper in harmony with nature. And this commitment remains unwavering. This is further driven by the global attention on illicit trade in wildlife and its effects on the population of local, of floral and faunal resources and the global economy. Our main milestone achievement of the Foundation in 2021 was the launch of the new Strategic Action Plan 2021 to 2025, which is a call to practical action by the Foundation, as well as all Nigerians across communities. The new NCF SAP, Strategic Action Plan, provides a clear 5-year roadmap for the Foundation, and it has 4 key pillars. 1, species, green recovery, Nigeria. 2, species, saving species in peril. 3, climate change, tackling the climate crisis. And 4, partnerships, fostering collaboration with stakeholders. While implementing projects that are aligned with the key pillars of GRN, NCF embarked on several reforestation projects, ranging from creating school gardens to planting economic and fruit trees in schools and communities, to forest landscape restoration in Anambra State and other sites, to planting of trees in Omo Forest Reserve and some national parks, amongst others. Illegal trade in wildlife is a major driver of species loss. Thus, Nigeria needs to align with the growing number of countries around the world that have demonstrated their commitment to stopping poaching and illegal trade in wildlife. If conscientious efforts are not made, we may soon lose some of our endemic species, such as Ibadan malimbe, rock firefish, and its brood parasite, the Jos Plateau indigo bird, Anambra waxbill, white-throated monkey, etc. This fear motivated us to intensify environmental education, both in the city and among the locals. This depicts how we are passionate about saving species in peril. The unfortunate hacking of elephants and rhinos for their tusks and horns, respectively, as well as killing of pangolins and vultures, sea turtles, and other endangered species for their body parts for traditional medicine and delicacies persists, as does the illegal demand for ivory, scales, and horns, among so many other forms of trafficking in the endangered species that collectively share the planet Earth with us. Pangolins have not fared any better. These intriguing creatures are now listed as the most illegally trafficked mammals in the world. Another strong pillar NCF considered very important is climate change. Climate change is the biggest global environmental threat. Adaptive measures need to be taken now to protect arid regions in the northern part of the dear country, where desert encroachment is happening at a fast rate. As part of efforts to address the challenge of climate change, NCF and others have been able to develop and execute some projects and activities that led to the sustainable management of nature amid the booming population and environmental challenges across the country, so that posterity can enjoy a beautiful habitat. In partnership pillar, we continue to host relationships with BirdLife International through the Africa office, WWF IUCN, federal government through its Ministry of Environment and other allied parastatals. We expanded our frontier and signed MOUs with many organizations like WildAid, O&O Foundation, Total Energies Nigeria, and Lufasi. Chevron Nigeria Limited remains a strong and committed supporter, as well as NLNG, among others. I'm delighted to observe that NCF has been able to sustain the series of lectures in honor of its founder, Chief Eseledu, while giving out doctoral research grants to distinguished scholars and future leaders in environmental conservation. Numerous thought leaders and foremost professionals have graced the occasion to talk about issues like sustainable agriculture, desert encroachment, water conservation, faith in the environment, wildlife conservation, and reforestation. As a flagship advocacy tool for the NCF, the annual lecture serves as a platform for public discourse on national and global environmental issues. It is our desire to continue to raise our awareness to a much higher level, knowing that solving environmental issues will require truly robust action and response at the local and global levels, as the conservation issues transcend borders. We should all join the call by conservation heroes and ambassadors to curb the demand for animal products by effectively enforcing our laws against illegal trafficking in endangered species and volunteering with conservation groups that have the mandate to combat the threats the threats facing endangered species. NCF will continue to intensify its efforts, synergize with other partners to achieve greater results. I appeal to all of you to intensify your efforts as individuals and as members of various organizations to make NCF a mass membership organization. We should not continue to count our membership in thousands. We must increase our membership to at least 1 million by the end of the current strategic action plan. This is achievable. It is bold, but it's achievable. I look forward to a very productive meeting, and I thank you all for coming. I now call on the chairman of the National Executive Council, Chief Ede Dafinune, to give the report of the National Executive Council. Chief Dafinune.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the National Executive Council of the NCF, I join the President to welcome you all to the 2021 Annual General Meeting of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. And consider and approve the audited accounts. In addition to this, there are many cheering news highlights that I'm glad to share with our very distinguished and esteemed stakeholders. In the year under review, NCF's relationship with several agencies of government at national and subnational levels, as well as with international partners, was renewed and reinvigorated. This came out of the relentless efforts of the BOT, council members, Dr. Mutari Aminu Kano and his team at the Secretariat. A major and very important milestone achievement of the Foundation in 2021 was, as the President said, the launch of our new Strategic Action Plan, SAP, 2021 to 2025. The new SAP is a strategic initiative that provides a 5-year roadmap for the Foundation. It has 4 key pillars focused on spaces and landscapes, with emphasis on forest restoration, species that emphasizes the conservation and sustainable management of species of conservation concern, active engagement on climate change, and lastly, expanding NCF's stakeholders' engagement by building constituencies for conservation through partnerships. To drive the new strategy, NCF must work with people and institutions and seek for more resources in a challenging environment. In this direction, we recognize the need for better technical and administrative efficiency in getting results and have adopted an approach that is smarter, time-bound, effective, and beneficial to our organization, our partners, and the generality of Nigerians. The new strategy is aimed at further strengthening NCF's leadership in the civil society space and enhancing its contribution to nature, conservation, and sustainable development in Nigeria, Africa, and the global environment. Beautifully printed copies of our SAP 2021 to 2025 are available at the Secretariat and online in soft copy. The previous year, 2020, as we all know, gave us a little setback. Thankfully, COVID-19 subsided and paved way for us to resume what we know to do best, nature conservation. We got to this point with the support of our partners and sponsors. The groundwork laid through our engagements with policymakers and key players in the environment and conservation sector over time. The groundwork laid through our engagements with policymakers and key players in the environment and conservation sector over time have recently culminated in the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Federal Ministry of Environment that will give our foundation an important leverage on all environmental and conservation issues in Nigeria. We have also renewed our strategic partnership with relevant government parastatals, which has now enhanced our prospects of expanding the coverage of our conservation activities unhindered with the required support. Part of our observations about the reasons people care less about nature or continue in practices that are destructive to the environment is ignorance of the adverse effects of these activities on nature. Hence, we increased our public awareness programs through ensuring that we use all environment days to disseminate messages that could lead to attitudinal change. Thus, days such as World Environment Day, World Wetlands Day, World Pangolin Day, World Elephant Day, World Migratory Birds Day, International Vulture Awareness Day, World Bee Day, International Day of Forests, International Day of Biodiversity, among others. We intensified our campaign in the protection of marine lives. At one of the occasions, we issued a press release, which was widely used by both national and international media when a marlin fish was killed, and the video went viral on social media. In our bid to promote conservation of vulture species, we produced and premiered a video documentary that captured the essence and importance of vultures in the ecosystem. This was followed up with 2 different workshops organized for stakeholders in Abeokuta and Kano. We are resolute and determined not to rest on our oars, as we intend to increase our efforts at breaking new grounds in stakeholders' engagements and awareness creation in conservation and environmental issues in consonance with our strategic action plan. Your support to the Foundation all along has been commendable, just as your selfless love for nature has also kept the Foundation moving forward. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to many more fruitful years. I now call on the Director General, Dr. Joseph Onoja, to give his address.
It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all as I join the President and the Chairman of the Board of Trust, of the Council, to the General Meeting of the Nigerian Conservation Foundation and to give a report of our activities in 2021. As the Foundation continues to expand, enlarge, and be more focused, we developed a strategic action plan that will last us for 5 years in implementing very innovative and impactful projects and activities to regain for efficient action in supporting biodiversity and livelihoods contributed to bring up the action plan 2021 to 2025, which is hinged on 4 key important pillars designed to contribute to more years of excellent conservation impact. In the year under review, the new NCFSA provides good direction and guide for the Foundation and was instrumental to many achievements we recorded, even with the COVID-19 pandemic still hovering around. Under the first pillar of spaces, we go to drive the Green Recovery Nigeria initiative that was launched in 2017. Altogether, since inception of this project, we have planted about 1.7 million tree seedlings as of December 2021. Success was under the second pillar, species, which focuses on species in peril. We have dedicated our efforts, technical skills, expertise, and resources to enhance the protection of elephant, our flagship species. We successfully intervened in the prevention of human-elephant conflict in Andoni local government area of Rivers State through an education and awareness program in November. Although Nigerian National Elephant Action Plan workshop held in also Nigeria National Elephant Action Plan held in June in Abuja. Essentially, waterfowl and water-related bird surveys in Hadejia Nguru wetlands were carried out, and a total number of 10,000 individual birds were recorded under 87 bird species, a tremendous increase in both individual and bird species as compared to the 2019 and 2020 records. These were in addition to our continued work in our vultures in peril. The third pillar, climate change, helps the effort towards the crisis. Among many others, NTF supported the government in the negotiation of the Glasgow Climate Pact and update the review of the Nationally Determined Contribution 2021. We increased our effort toward fostering collaboration with stakeholders, which is the major focus of the fourth pillar, partnerships. Business Development and Communication Department deployed strategy to engage with stakeholders across organized private sector, corporate organizations, youth, faith-based organizations, and community-based organizations. This is in line with the new strategic action plan of the foundation. A number of these engagements have begun yielding results. Corporate and individual membership figures appreciated by 8 and 10% respectively. The goal of building a groundswell of advocates, supporters, and volunteers in millions that will propagate the conservation and advocate sustainable environmental actions remain unwavering. Our online communication improved remarkably, strengthened by engagement of resident professional graphic artists complementing our digital media activities. Consequently, followers across our social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube increased by 15% across all the platforms. We maintain cordial relationship with the gentlemen of the Fourth Estate who continue to support our projects and events liberally. Fundraising recorded 10% growth when compared with the 2020 figure and a gradual post-COVID recovery. So yes, we will be more strategic in reaching the target of this renewed order to seek greener Nigerian support of nature states. Innovative approaches that will convert climate change effect to opportunities for growth and better livelihood. In the South-South Zonal Office, based in Calabar, led in the establishment of the Baran Ubie Biodiversity Action Plan in 20 communities in Bayelsa State through afforestation programs, training on forest resource management, establishment of forest rangers with 20 Taylor Creek communities. This is the collaboration with SPDC. Through our Policy and Advocacy Office in Abuja, we participated in the review of the law of the Nigeria National Park Service, serving the committee set up by the federal government, the Department of Forestry, to deliberate on issues relating to timber exploitation and unsustainable use of non-timber forest products in the validation of the National Strategic Action Plan 2021-2025 of the National Agency of the Great Green Wall, and participated in the second technical workshop of the development of the appropriate legal framework and related advisory services. Synergies of Nigeria's climate change legislative agenda and roadmap to COP26. The annual lecture instituted in memory of our late founder, Chief S.L. Edu, memorial lecture held August 2021. An environmental youth activist from Kenya, Ms. Mangele Msweli, delivered a passionate lecture on the theme Youth and Ecosystem Restoration. 3 youth conservationists were recognized and awarded for their effort in promoting conservation in Nigeria, while 2 deserving PhD students were awarded research grants sponsored by Chevron Nigeria Limited. Our conservation centers, of which Lekki Conservation Center is our flagship project, have remained attractive tourism havens. LCC stands out because we continue to manage it sustainably. Lagos State Government, through the World Bank project, conducted research and adjured it as the center with the best quality air in the metropolis. The Finima Nature Park, funded by the Nigeria LNG, Bechebe Nature Reserve, funded by Leventis Foundation, and others stand as representation and testimony to the impact on environment and people within the year as various intervention programs and community outreach were conducted. As part of our community outreach and engagement, In partnership with Owando Foundation, we embarked on waste to wealth training for teachers in some selected schools in Lagos and held cleanup activities in their host communities. Similarly, we had an empowerment program for members of 21 communities of the Okumu National Park in Edo State. In making more impact, great result using global environment days, such as the chair listed, especially the World Environment Day. NCF collaborated with Dangote Nigeria Limited, Union Bank, IHS Nigeria Limited, and FCMB to plant trees in schools. We were able to achieve this feat due to your contributions and support to NCF in the realization of our mandate for the benefit of nature, for people, and our dear Nigeria. On our part, I wish to reiterate our unwavering commitment to nature conservation, ecotourism, and sustainable management of our environment. We acknowledge that we can do and achieve more only with your continued support. Once again, we appreciate your support and I thank you all very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Director General. I will now call upon the auditors to read the annual report and financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2021. And I'll call upon
thank you, Mr.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please, can you confirm you hear me?
Well, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Mr. President, Board of Trustees, distinguished trustee members, and every stakeholders present at this 33rd Annual General Meeting. Independent Auditors Report to the members of Nigerian Conservation. Report on the audit financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Nigerian Foundation set out on page 24. It comprised the statement of financial position as at 30 December 2021, the statement of income and expense and other comprehensive, statement of changes in members' fund, statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statement, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial of Nigeria Conservation Foundation as at 31st December 2021 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, the requirements of Companies and Allied Matter Act, and National Reports of Nigeria Act 2011. Basis for opinion. We conducted it in accordance with international standards on audit. Our responsibility that these standards are further in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the foundation in accordance with the requirements of the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, ISPSA, International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independence Standard, and other independent requirements applicable to performing audits of financial statements in Nigeria. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESBA code and other ethical requirements that are relevant for audit of financial statements in Nigeria. We believe that the audit evidence obtained is sufficient and appropriate to prove a basis for our opinion. Other information. Trustees are responsible for the other information. The other information comprise the statement of trustees' responsibilities for the preparation and financial statements, which we obtained prior to the date of this report. The annual report, which is expected to be made available to us after that date. The information does not include the financial statements and audit report thereon. Our opinion financial statements does not the other information, and we do not and will not express an audit opinion or any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information and in so doing consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or knowledge obtained in the audit, otherwise are to be materially misstated. If based on what we have performed on information obtained prior to the date of this auditor's report, we conclude that there is real mistake to this other information, we are required to report that we have nothing to report in this regard. Responsibility of the trustees of the financial statement. The trustees are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with the International Reporting Standards, the requirements of the Company and Allied Act and Financial Reporting Councils, and for such internal control as the trustees determine is necessary, enable the preparation of the financial statements that are from material statements, whether due to fraud or error. The trustees are responsible for assessing the foundation as applicable matters relating to going and using the going concern based accounting unless it is either intend to liquidation or to cease operation have no realistic alternative to do so. Auditor's responsibility for audit of the financial statement. Our objective are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement due to fraud or error, and an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it is not a guarantee that an audit conducted with ISAs will always a material limit when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they will be expected to influence the economic decisions of us taking on of statements. Apart from an audit, in accordance with ISA, we exercise professional judgment and professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatement on the statement, whether due to fraud or error, obtain an understanding of internal control, the audit into design procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of foundation's internal control. Evaluate the adequateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimated disclosures made by the trustees. Also include on the appropriateness of the trustees' use of going concern based accounting and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that have doubts on the foundation's ability to continue as a concern. We also evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statement, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that is fair presentation. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding other matters, the planned scope and timing of the and significant findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during our audit. Finally, report on other law and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the companies and allied matters, we expressly state that 1. We have sent all the information and explanation which to the best of the chief we are necessary for the purpose of it. 2. The foundation has kept proper books of accounts so far as appeared from examination of those books. The foundation's financial position and its profits or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts and return, signed by Chigos Koro, FRO 2013 um, 457, on behalf of Deloitte and Touche Chartered Accountant on 25th November 2022. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. I shall now invite questions and answers and comments, if any, on the reports and financial statements, as well as the Foundation's general activities. Kindly raise your hands by clicking on the icon at the bottom right of your screens if you would like to speak. And please remember to state your name before speaking. I hope you were hearing me. Hello?
Yes, sir. We could hear you, sir.
You could hear me because
Yes,
it's
sir.
only the final sentence that boomed. Okay, these are
We can hear you,
technical
sir.
arrangements. Very good. Now, any questions, please? Comments? Who is our host?
They are
Any
working on the
questions?
questions, sir.
Pardon?
They are working on the questions.
Oh, you're working on them. Okay.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Who is speaking?
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Fabian Ekeruche. I write for the News Agency of Nigeria. I want to congratulate you, the chairman, sir, for the great feat that the Conservation Foundation has achieved in the last year. In the last meeting where you had the 40 years anniversary, sir, the Director General mentioned the issue of the desert, the ocean encroachment around the Lekki Conservation Center, sir. I want to know if there has been talks with the Lagos State government on how to resolve that problem from getting worse. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Director General, do you want to answer this
Yes, sir.
now, or there are some other questions?
I think we should get all the questions together. Then it will help us put them together and answer them, sir.
Good. Any more questions or comments?
Sir, FRCN and its up, sir.
FRCN? What's the question?
Hello? Hello? So please, the media is not time for your question. You have a session that you have with the president and chairman and DG. This is the time for members and other stakeholders. Please, media, hold on till your session. Thank you.
More questions or comments? We don't seem to have any more questions.
We can't see any questions or comments, sir.
Pardon?
We can't see any questions
No more
or comments. None.
Okay. Now, do you have a comment, Director General, on the question or issue raised?
Yes, sir. So let me just quickly state that conversation, as you rightly noted during the dinner that we had, has raised a lot of interest from the Lagos State government, and we have further had engagement with not just Lagos State government, but other stakeholders also along that corridor, especially the Lekki Residents Association, for further engagement. And the Lagos State government is very passionate about it, and we've had further engagement. And in fact, from what I gathered, there will be more discussion at the cabinet meeting today on this issue. So Lagos State government, we are in talk with Lagos State government, and we are ready to support them to be able to push this, as we are aware the responsibility of the Lagos State government, but as well as the federal government as well.
So there is some progress.
Yes, sir, very much, sir.
You would say. Okay. Now, since there are no further questions or comments, we shall proceed. Item 1 on the agenda is to receive and consider the report of the National Executive Council, the audited financial statements, and auditor's report for the year ended 31st December 2021. I hereby move that the report of the National Executive Council, the audited financial statements, and the auditor's report for the year ended 31st December 2021 be and are hereby approved. Would a member please raise his or her hand? Any member who wishes to second the motion? Do you have a seconder?
Yes, sir. I don't know if you can hear me. Good afternoon, sir.
I can hear you.
Honorable Justice Bukola Adebi, second the motion.
Okay, I raised my hand. I might as well just lower it. Okay. Dr. Ndiribe from the University of Lagos.
You raised your hand for what?
To second the motion.
Well, somebody else.
Okay, no problem. If it was up a long time ago, no problem. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Anybody with a contrary motion or any more points to questions are out of this? I now put the motion to vote. All those who are should please signify by raising one hand each. The votes are counted, or you press the electrical. Are we ready with the result?
Yes, sir. We have 10 hands up.
10
hands raised in vote in support of the motion you raised.
including those participating by Zoom.
Yes, sir. By Zoom.
You can read. You have 10. How many participants?
Currently we have 63 participants.
And you only got.
Yes, I counted up to 10.
Eh?
I counted up to 10.
Now please, can we repeat it? All those who support the motion, please raise one hand. And count again. I hope everybody's here. So how many votes have we?
We have 18. 18.
I think technology this time is not working very well. Anyway, you have 18.
18 votes, right. Yes, sir.
Now we move on. Those who are opposed to the motion, please indicate by raising one hand.
Mr. Chairman,
have you finished counting?
Those that raised their hand before to lower it before those against will raise their own. Those who raise their hands in favor before should lower their hands.
Yeah, I should have known that. So how many votes are? Pardon?
Two hands up.
Two against?
Against 18.
Okay. So the motion is carried by a majority, big majority. Now the next item is reappointment of auditors. In accordance with section 3572 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, 1990. The company's external auditors, Messrs. Akintola Williams Deloitte, have indicated their willingness to continue in office. I therefore move that, pursuant to Section 361B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 1990, Messrs. Akintola Williams Deloitte be and are hereby reappointed as auditors of the Foundation. Would any member wishing to second the motion please raise his or her hand? Seconder, please. Have we got a seconder? I didn't get the name. Who is seconding? No indication.
There's an indication, but it's not.
Okay.
I second the motion, sir.
What's the name?
Please say your name.
Junaid Diko.
Okay, please.
Your organization.
I'm an individual.
Is anybody opposed to the motion? Any contrary motion? We shall proceed. Please, would all those in favor of this motion signify by raising one hand each? This time, please make sure we count the hands.
Making 15, sir.
15.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, those against the, please signify by raising one hand each. Finish counting?
We have 3 hands up, sir. 3 hands up, sir.
Against.
15, sir.
Okay. All right. So the motion is carried by a great majority. I don't believe there was any indication of any other business. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of this meeting. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees and members of the National Executive Council, I would like to thank you all for your attendance and positive contributions. And we pray that our country succeeds in playing its role towards global conservation efforts. Thank you all, and goodbye.